Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and this is Season 9, Episode 2. And we're in our Space Needle Seattle set. So, my lovely guest, the lovely Linda Briggs Curtis, and we're going to do a one-on-one this time. You're the first guest on the Indoor Cafe for Season 9. So that should make you feel special, which you are anyway. But yeah, this will be fun. Now, have you ever been to Seattle? For real?
Yes.
Yeah, I went through it, but I've never been there. Well, I'm going to start with the
I've
traditional...
been there. I've been on the ferry. I've been in the Space Needle, and I've seen parts of the city. I have an aunt who lives in Bremerton.
Okay.
She's the one who is a published author.
All right. Lord bless the show. Amen. And on that note,
Amen.
I will start with Night and Day.
I love Cole Porter.
I'll do this song for you for starters. Such a beautiful song, this song.
My favorite is In the Still of the Night.
Oh, I remember that song. There you go, Night and Day. Fix that a little bit more. So, how have you been since yesterday? You remember this song? I'm sorry.
Yesterday.
Let me adjust that more. I'm gonna do that again. It's been a while since I've done this song.
Thank heaven for Paul McCartney.
See, a beautiful song. There you go. Yesterday, Paul McCartney. That's true. Thanks to Paul McCartney, he made that song very famous. Very, very famous. I mean, everybody has done that song since, I think, in the entertainment industry. So, let's see if I can remember In the Still of the Night. I'm sorry, I don't remember how that goes. I'm gonna have to
Okay.
rehear that again. Never mind. Well, anyway, as I was saying, so have you been since yesterday? It was very nice to treat you to that lunch. For our television audience who don't know, I took Linda out to lunch yesterday. We went to the Mustard Seed restaurant at the mall. Linda made it possible for me to get a piano in my home, so I wanted to express my gratitude. That's why I took you there. And you know, I get to practice more now. You know, let me do that dance of the sugar plum fairy, bits and pieces
Anyway,
of it.
we recommend the mustard seed, both the food and the service.
Yeah, that's very good. I've only
We
been
had
there.
halibut.
Yeah, that's right. I ate the rest of that just this morning. Now, this isn't the finished version of it. I'm still working on it. I'm sorry, I'm still working the bugs out on that. What do you think? I'm working the bugs out on this song. See, remember when I tried to play that for you before? I couldn't even get that far. But thanks to you getting that piano, I've been able to put the time in to try to master that like I really want it. And I'll have it prepared by the time I play at the mall this year at the rate I'm going. So, you know, having that piano really helps. And what I've been doing is just practicing that very slowly in sections over and over. So that's about the smoothest I've gotten it so far at this point.
Well,
So.
it's very enchanting as it is.
And then that middle part, I don't think I can do it well enough yet.
And I think a good word should be put in for Raleigh Dots and Dots Piano Company, also here in Missoula.
Yeah, Raleigh, if you're watching this, you ever see this, thank you. Yeah, Raleigh at Dots Piano also made that possible. So I'm thanking him on television.
And Joel.
And Joel Baird here, the manager at MCAT. And, well, actually, I'm just grateful to everyone that made that possible for me to get that piano. But in your case, that's why we went to the Mustard Seed yesterday, so let me try that middle part again.
And it was quite enjoyable.
Isn't that pretty?
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite have it ready yet, but I'm getting closer. And then the upper part goes something like this. See? That's just very pretty.
Well, you know, Tchaikovsky wrote that for orchestra,
Mhm.
and those high little parts are played by, or represented by a celeste, which was a brand new instrument at the time he composed.
Oh, I see,
So-
yeah. Well, you know, I start in this register here when I first do it. And then I just take it up an octave higher.
So, you know,
See, like something like this.
a piano is not the same as a full orchestra.
No, I realize
And you
that,
are
but I mean,
doing
you get that.
just very well with it.
Well, thank you. And so you just take it up in the upper register for the second time. And you know, another thing I noticed about this song with the left hand, first time it's just this plain rhythm like this. Can you hear it? But with the left hand, the second time it's same notes, but you're playing them twice, see?
It's the accompanying part, which is usually what is in the left hand, isn't it?
Yeah, the first time it's just playing, it's not twice each note. It's just playing. I'm sorry.
There's a man here in town who was a virtuoso pianist, and something happened with his right hand. I
Here in
don't
town?
know. And he does concerts just, having adapted everything to his left hand.
Well, they do have compositions designed for the left hand.
Yes,
on the
and he
piano,
does that.
too.
He does those, but he also has
You figured out a way to play.
rearrange them.
Yeah, that can be done. So, but anyway, by Christmas of this year, I'll have that Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, just like I want it. And that's how much I've been practicing that from the last time when I attempted it. When I was at your home, I couldn't even hardly do that. But I'm getting very comfortable with it, and I can see it in my mind's eye now and stuff like that. So it'll be fun, especially playing on a real grand piano by the holiday this year. It'll be perfect, and I'm working on it. So, but in the meantime,
In between time,
Yes.
ain't we got fun?
and I love this song too. I'm gonna do something for you here in a moment. It's a fun song.
I think it was 1968 that song came out.
Yeah, I was in grade school then.
And I was just starting college.
Really?
Well, actually, it was the end of my freshman year.
Okay, in college?
Yes. And I just really, really liked that song. That was about the time, Feelings came out a few years later.
Who's that by? Do you remember?
I don't know, but This Guy's in Love with You is the guy from the Tijuana Brass, I believe.
Yeah, Herb Alpert.
Yeah,
He introduced it.
I think he wrote it too. Anyway. The little bit I had to be out in the sun today kind of zapped my strength.
Okay.
Well,
And here's the conclusion.
I think it was hotter than 91 degrees.
Well, I tell the story. I visited Tucson, Arizona once, and it was very hot. It was very, very hot. I mean, I was married at the time. This is before Jeannie and I got married at that time. And I stayed over in her home, because I'd met her family then. And at 7 in the morning, it was 70 degrees. Literally. This was at 7 in the morning, so she turned the air conditioner on, right? And then around 9 o'clock, it got near 100. That's how hot it got in Tucson. And then by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I went down to the market nearby. There was like a store nearby, about 2 blocks. It was so hot, I thought I missed heaven. And I literally had to, from walking between that store and where her home was, I had to go into another place to cool off. That's how hot it was in Tucson. And then in Phoenix, with the
Do you think you could really fry an egg on the sidewalk?
I'm sure you probably can there. I would imagine so. I have a cousin named Violet who lived in Phoenix, Arizona. She's 83 now. And it was so hot for her that for health reasons she had to move. She had to leave Phoenix, Arizona because of her health. That's how hot it was there. So I don't know.
Well, I spent several decades in Las Vegas, so I know what hot is.
Oh yeah.
But I just never did like air conditioning that much.
Really?
And of course, I couldn't hear songbirds there, real songbirds like
Really?
meadowlarks. So So I wanted to come back to Montana,
Wow.
specifically Missoula, or Great Falls, or Helena. Well, anyway, so yeah, it was hot. And it does kind of take the strength out of you. And you can't even touch surfaces, you know. We don't
I
have to
enjoyed
worry
us
about
playing
that
this for
much.
you.
I was at Albertsons today, and I had my neon yellow green shirt on, Nike shirt.
I enjoy playing that song for you.
Thank you.
Did I tell you the history of that song as far as my family? My sister had this old, you remember those old 45 records that they used to have? The 45, the small ones? Well, when I was in high school, my sister bought the copy of that home. I don't know who the artist was, and she used to listen to that over and over and over again and just drive everybody crazy at home. So that's how I learned that song.
Well, when I was probably 10 years old, I started buying 45 records. With my money that I got paid for odd jobs and babysitting and stuff. And I had a collection of things that I wouldn't have heard if I hadn't had 45 records. The Sound of Music.
Really?
You know, the song, The Sound of Music. Hank Williams. Andy Williams. Several other things like that I would never have heard otherwise.
Wow.
At that time, because they weren't that big. They were kind of a fringe element, both of them. Of course, when I was 5 or 6, I thought the most beautiful music in the world was the music performed from Brigadoon that was played in the records on the radio.
Wow. I don't know that. I know of it.
The Heather on the Hill.
Okay.
And, songs like that.
Okay.
Almost Like Being in Love. You know.
Well, here's what I was going to
It's
do for
obvious our artistic spheres have been widely different.
Okay.
Just because I'm so much older.
I understand. This is what I was going to do for you on this show here if I can get this to work. Let's see. Let's see if I can get it to work.
That's a line from...
You know who that is, don't you?
Of course.
You know what's interesting about this performance? This was recorded 10 years after The Sound of Music. Can you believe that? Well, she had her own show, you know, the Julie Andrews show. And if you listen to her voice carefully, it sounds more mature to me. I'll back it up a little bit. I was going to surprise you with this on the show today. Favorite things coming up. Listen very carefully to her voice. Can you tell?
Tell what?
How much more mature it sounds compared to the film version.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, because it was 10 years later. So that's it. I'll let her finish and I'll turn this off. I estimate she was probably maybe in her 40s at that time when this was recorded. Wow. And the next song is one you'll be able to relate to. I think I've heard you sing this before. This next one.
Spoonful of Sugar?
No, you're close. Here it is.
Yeah, I was in the chorus of this, and I had to sing the high C's.
Yeah, she does too. And I'll stop right there on that note. But Yeah, I think I've heard you sing that before.
I don't feel like singing today.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. No, I was just picking
I
those
felt
notes
like
out.
singing last night, and I sang the Star Spangled Banner.
Did you really?
I was in voice. I don't know if anybody heard me.
I would have liked to have heard that.
Because, you know, that's how they start those concerts, the band concerts in the park.
Oh, that's right. You went to that last night, didn't you?
Uh-huh.
And they started with the national anthem?
They always do.
You know, that's interesting to hear you say that because
You
if I
don't always
to,
get to sing Montana, though.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting to hear you say that because if I get to do that new Lawrence Welk show, I was going to start that off with the national anthem, an a cappella version, instead of the instrumental version that everybody
Yes.
does. Just a thought, just food for thought. But yeah, I think I heard you sing that that last song that Julie Andrews did on this. What was it called? I Could Have Danced All Night, right? That's the name of it?
Yes, well, I have a VHS of a variety show I was in Big Bear Lake.
Okay. What did you do in that show? Do you remember?
I did a scene from She Stoops to Conquer. No, what was the name of it? I can't remember. Anyway, my part was Lady Teasel, and it was quite funny. I can't remember the title of the play. Anyway, I did a scene from that, a very stylized comedy. I think William Congreve wrote it. But anyway, and then I sang in the chorus, and the whole program was threaded with chorus music.
Okay.
So the chorus really was the orchestra, like an orchestra.
But you had a part in that then, right?
And I sang quite a few high notes that were, because of the brilliance of the voice,
Yeah.
it carried over the rest of the voices, and it made the whole choral group sound a lot better because it was more rounded, you know.
Well, I remember that performance you played for me when I visited you that time. If I recall, you were singing in that, right? That performance?
Yeah, that was a variety show I was in.
Was that the Vegas show that you were telling me about?
No,
If I remember?
Vegas show was Jacques Brel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in several operas in the chorus, and also I understudied. In Deflator Mouse, I understudied.
Oh, Deflator. Let's see if I can pick that out.
But I was in La Boheme. Good for you. Deflator Mouse Waltz. And let's see, La Boheme. What else was I in? Anyway.
Something like that.
And then I was in a Student Prince.
Okay, but I mean, you did that Deflator Mouse, and you did the Student Prince.
In La Boheme.
You did La Boheme. What other ones did you do?
I'm just trying to think.
Was that during your Vegas years when you did
Yeah.
those?
Yeah.
Now, did you ever do before you went to Vegas? You went to college, didn't you? Didn't you go to college for a while?
Yes.
Did you do some productions in college? At college
I
level?
did. That was my main activity in college, was
Yeah, the plays.
doing plays. But
Okay.
I did very few musicals. I was in the chorus of Guys and Dolls
That's a good one.
and Finian's Rainbow.
Okay.
And then I concentrated mainly on stage plays,
Okay.
regular drama. And I can't remember, I probably was in 15 of them, 15 plays or so.
So you went to college first, and a few years later you went to Vegas and was performing
Well,
out
no,
there at the time?
I taught school for a couple years.
That's right, you did tell
And
me
then
that.
I went to California
Okay.
and LA.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a friend in Las Vegas who was a college friend, and I went to Las Vegas to get singing work, and
Mhm.
I didn't get it because I wasn't tall enough.
For singing?
for singing unless I would have paid for my own lounge act. So I did a lot of church singing, and because I was just a person who had to have a day job, and so I just
So you did that at night or part-time?
I
you're saying,
did
or?
I did church singing,
Okay.
and I did singing when I could before I went back into teaching.
Well, how many years did you teach the first time?
2 years.
And then how long were you in Vegas before you went back to teaching? How long were you in Vegas?
Almost 2 years.
Oh, I
And
see.
at the
I
very
see.
day that I was offered a contract with the school district to teach at Valley High School, I came home from my photography job
Yeah.
and was mugged in the parking lot of my apartment complex.
Yikes. Yeah.
My face was the assailant who popped up behind my car
Mm-hmm.
grabbed a glass jug of apple juice out of my groceries that I was carrying,
Okay.
and after having knocked me down, put my head on a parking block and threw the broken glass jug into it.
Oh my goodness.
And I just screamed at him because I didn't lose consciousness because I had such horribly thick, frizzy red hair.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and I didn't lose consciousness. I just said, "What do you think you're doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped up and screamed, "Help!" And he was on his way out of there. Anyway, yes, Amazing Grace. And
This made me think of that as you tell your story. Go ahead.
I went to my apartment, which was up the stairs to the second floor, and people had heard me screaming and they followed me. We were supposed to have 24-hour security there,
Uh-huh.
and somehow this guy was lurking anyway, and I had no idea why he was there, why I was attacked, whether it was
Sounds
random.
like a homeless fella, maybe, or something.
No, he didn't seem homeless. I think it sounds really like he was hired by somebody to do a hit.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It being Vegas, and the fact that I just kept to myself, and I wouldn't go out with certain people and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wouldn't go out with married men and things like that.
Well, that's a good idea.
Constantly asking me out, and so it might have been something to do with that. But anyway, so I went through that, and and my dad having a fatal heart attack because of it,
Wow.
and my having to teach school and do all the work for that. So I didn't get involved with anything until I got involved with the Student Prince Vegas Opera Concert Ensemble.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, so I just taught full-time and did theater and musicals part-time, and Jacques Brel came along. And that was a wonderful, wonderful production. We ran for 9 weeks.
Wow.
And the only reason they didn't keep it going is because they had already scheduled their season
I see.
and they had to go on to other productions.
I see.
But there were performers from the Strip who would come to our show. And
Okay.
time after time after time they'd come. So it was very popular. That was a good experience.
Well, it sounds like you had a wonderful time. I'm sorry that incident happened to you, but overall, it sounds like you must have had a lot of fun when you were there, as far as the performing aspect.
Well,
of it.
yeah, but
Did you have to be a part of the union at that time too?
not for photography.
Oh.
Not for photography. For the culinary, you did. But now it's right to work. But anyway, I was going to say, I guess you don't understand that when I was mugged, I had glass in my eye, that had to be operated on.
Uh-huh.
My nose was broken in 4 places,
Okay.
and I had to wear it in a cast. And I had over 100 stitches in my face because of the lacerations, deep lacerations.
Uh-huh.
This was all split.
Oh my goodness.
So it took, I was able to have the stitches removed well within 7 days
Okay.
because it healed really fast.
Uh-huh.
But I still had to heal before I could go outside at night
I
or
see.
Audition for anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still had to teach school and deal with all of the pressures of that.
Mhm.
So it was, I had to just put things on the back burner for a while.
I see. To give yourself time to heal.
Yeah, but I had to have eye surgery in December of that year to have glass removed from my eye.
Yeah.
I had to have the inside of my nose, the inside redone. It's called nasal septum reconstruction.
I see. Okay.
And I was just lucky that within about a year I looked fairly normal and
That's good.
was wearing contact lenses again, and so that took a big chunk out of my time,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't end my life, and all I can say is praise God.
Yeah, praise God.
He brought me through it.
Good. Glad to hear that. And now you're here, and of course you're doing a cafe with me, which I'm very humbled. It's always a delight to have you on this show. I'm sure if Julie Andrews were here, she'd probably say the same thing.
And when I was becoming a mother, and slightly a while after that,
Mm-hmm.
that's where my time belonged,
So you didn't do much performing when
Along-
you became a mom, huh?
along with, well, I didn't have a maid or a nanny or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to pay for everything myself.
Yeah.
And so I took my son to a babysitter during the school day, but
Okay.
basically there wasn't really money for evening babysitters so that I could perform.
I see.
So I held off on that for a while. Yeah, all of these movie stars who have children and continue working have a lot of money and a lot of help.
Oh yeah. I think it depends on who you know.
No, what I'm saying is if they are movie stars, they don't have to spend all that time.
Yeah,
You know what I
see.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a difference in priorities. Anyway, my son likes to say with accuracy that I was born in Las Vegas when it was 117 degrees. And it was when he was born. The day he was born, June 16th,
Uh-huh.
1983, it was 117 in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Memories. I also like memories from cats. Memory from cats. Oh, the way we were.
Yeah, it just came to mind when you were telling your story.
So, there were marvelous people
Uh-huh.
that occurred in my life, and I had many enlightening and beautiful experiences, and I'm thankful for all that, you know.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm glad you made it through that. Because I wouldn't have had the pleasure of meeting you later, years later. And you're here now, so that's pretty cool. Do you know this song?
Da, 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 da. I know it, but I can't.
My
think-
Sherry Amore.
That's right. That was,
Stevie Wonder.
yeah, Stevie Wonder. And of course, we were lucky to have him.
Ah,
What is he doing now? Is he around?
who?
Stevie Wonder?
I think he is. He's probably made $1 zillion by now. I haven't done this in a while.
Well, you are doing it very well.
And here's the conclusion. My Sherry Amore, Stevie Wonder. That's a little piano version of that song. But I don't know if you ever told me, how many children did you have? Did you have one or two when you were being a mom?
One.
One? That's right. I met your son. That's right. I thought you had 2 children in those years.
Well, let's put it this way. I was always surrounded by little boys because I would take him with his friends places,
Well, okay, that's
like
it.
miniature golfing or swimming or something like that.
Yeah. Speaking of children,
Or
my-
I was a den mother, a Cub Scout den mother.
Speaking of children, my sponsored child just turned 18 2 weeks ago. Her name is Gracia. And I know I've never had children of my own, but I think this young woman is about the closest to a little girl I'll ever have. I think I told you the story. She was 4 years old when I started sponsoring her through Compassion International. I sponsored her for 6 years. I sent that girl $30 a month. Well, I sent it to Compassion International. They transferred it, had it, converted to Peru money because she lives in Peru. And I sponsored that girl for 6 years, and then her parents took her off the program, and I didn't think I'd ever hear from her ever again. A year later, her older sister Jasmine saw me on Facebook. I don't know how they got Facebook in that part of the world, but somehow they did. And my picture and image showed up behind the grand piano. And Jasmine remembered that there was a pianist from Montana that sponsored her sister when her sister was little. And she went and told her parents and told Gracia, hey, that pianist from America that sponsored you, I found him on Facebook. And then I got a letter from Gracia on Facebook. And that's how she and I got reacquainted again. And she started writing me again and all that. And now she's 18 years old. And I got to actually, in a small way, watch this child grow up in a small way.
Well, do you have her picture in your wallet? Couldn't you hold it
Yeah.
up for the camera?
Well, yeah, let's see if it'll, wait. I didn't buy the wallet, but I got my wallet back yesterday. I had lost my wallet, and I had a picture of Gracia in this wallet. Let's see if it'll show up on camera. Hold on.
And that was probably a couple weeks ago, right? And
Yeah, I lost the wallet about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I finally got it back.
you
yesterday.
reported
This
it
is-
to the police and they found it.
Yeah, this was the picture. This was Gracia when she was 4 years. I'm going to go up to the camera and see if I'll walk up closer to the camera. Remember when I had that cake when we had our 100th episode? Let's see if it'll show up here. This, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if it'll show up on camera. Tell me if it does. Can you see it on the screen?
I can see it.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is Gracia. She was 4 years old when I started sponsoring her through Compassion International. And see the little teddy bear in her hand? That's why I decided to sponsor her, because I collect stuffed animals. And when Compassion sent me this picture of Gracia, I knew that was the child. So she was 4 years old, and she was sleeping on a cement floor, literally, at 4 years old at that time. Her father was making $57 a month, which, that's right, because I lived overseas when I was a little boy, and it's just, there's no money, hardly. and stuff like that. The conditions are pretty poor. So Gracia was sleeping on a cement floor literally at 4 years old, and that's what compelled me to want to help this girl. And what Compassion International was doing was they were giving this girl dental care in her country, and they were teaching her ABCs and some English with Spanish at that time, and they were teaching her about the Bible and Jesus, and they had like a recreation center that they built out there for these kids to play, like, I don't know, maybe basketball or whatever they played. And they were teaching them hygiene and grooming, how to keep themselves clean physically. Because they didn't have hardly anything over there in that country, which makes sense because when my parents lived in Taiwan, we couldn't even drink out of the drinking fountain at that time. The water was literally brown that would come out of the sink. So my father had to go to the Air Force Base once a week to get a week's supply of water for my mom to be able to cook. I'm talking about my birth mom, to be able to cook and take care of us when we were growing up. So Gracia's family was going through a very tough time in Peru, and they sent me pictures of her area where she was from. I don't have mommy, obviously, but yeah, that's why I sponsored her.
And
it was horrible.
even though Brazil is a worse
Peru,
place,
yeah, Brazil's a lot worse.
Peru is the place that the Zika virus was first detected. So let's hope she wasn't exposed to Zika.
I doubt that. You got to remember, this was what? She's 18 now. She was 4 then. So.
I mean now. Let's hope now that she hasn't been exposed to it.
Yeah, I think something like that. I just have to trust God that she'll be okay. I mean, she grew up, and I have pictures of her now as an 18-year-old young woman. She grew up to be a wonderful young lady. She looks just like her mom. I have a picture of her mom too, so.
Praise God.
Yeah, she grew up. And that was rewarding to me because even though I was physically not in Peru, I feel like in a small way I watched this child grow up. And I have a 6-year investment in this child as far as sending money to help her parents. And her parents appreciated it because I would get word through Compassion International how it was making her family's lives easier. Her father and her mother.
That small amount of money. Because you got to remember, American money goes a long ways overseas. You would really be surprised. Well, I always like to donate. I did. I can't remember if it was Compassion International, but it was another group that I contributed to for about 3 years, and then I always donated small amounts of money, whatever I could afford, really, to St. Laubrie Indian School here in Montana, and St. Joseph's in South Dakota, and Humane Society, and Animal Home, a home for animals in Kanab, Utah.
Yeah.
Those were the things that I sent money to for a long period of time, besides church donations and things. But
perfect. So keep talking. You just made me think of something while you're talking.
When I was 17.
You just made me think of when you were telling your story.
Well, I could afford donations at that time. And now I'm on fixed income, and cutbacks being what they are and job shortage being what it is. I'd rather see young people who are trying to pay their way through school. I'd rather see them get those less than stellar income jobs that I depended on for a while, like receptionist or waitress or things like that, So for me to go out and get that kind of part-time work, I already have three of my retirements remain, and I do have income from them.
Oh, yeah.
But
Cool.
As far as working, you can't make over a certain amount.
Yeah.
You can only work between 20 and 30 hours a week
I see.
in order not to have to pay hefty taxes.
Uh-huh.
And I just haven't gotten around to it yet because I like to do volunteer activities like things at church.
Yeah.
And coming over here and calling bingo for the residents of the manor.
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked to do it because they can hear and understand me, and
Yeah.
I'm not inclined to make any mistakes.
Well, my parents used to play bingo when we lived in Taiwan when I was a little boy. So I remember playing that, and there was always this one guy, B2, or something, N17 or some silly thing like that. I was lucky if I won once a month, and then it'd only be like about a few dollars. So it's not like I was hitting the lottery or anything, Oh well, it's bingo for you. And you know what? We got 5 minutes left. See how time just breezed?
And there was a young woman today at the manor
Uh-huh.
who was showing she's a caregiver, and she was there to pick up her person she helps. And she just showed off her new engagement ring.
Really?
So I said the old cliche, "My, it's hot in here. I think I'll take off my ring."
Okay.
Well, it's to draw attention to the ring.
I understood it. This is called the Prelude in E minor by Chopin.
Oh, would you do the raindrop prelude, please? Yesterday we were outside the bus stop, and this guy started whistling the raindrop prelude as he walked by me, and I just finished whistling the rest of it.
I haven't done it in a while. I don't know. I'll see if I can remember it. I'm gonna have to relearn that again. That song, that prelude. I've got it in my plans.
Well, and I noticed again yesterday, I don't suppose they are fantastically busy every day, and they're not at as many places as they were last year, but having pianos out on the streets available to people is really nice. Children like to come along and play them, not just pound them. And other adults, anybody is welcome to. They don't appear to get sabotaged or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anything rude.
Anyway, that's the Prelude in E minor. Let's see. I don't know if I'll be able to remember that a rainbow song because I haven't done it in so long. Hold on. Give me a moment. Okay, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. That's all I remember right now.
Well, that's enough because
I haven't done that in a while. I haven't practiced
we have
that.
to say happy trails.
Yeah, that's true. Any final words you want to say before we sign off?
Discretion is the better part of valor.
Okay.
No. Best wishes to everybody. Have a good week.
That's very
Stay
kind.
cool. Enjoy the outdoors. Your children, your families,
Mm-hmm.
and all the beautiful people and animals and scenery around you.
I'm going to say a special hello to my sponsored child, Gracia, again. Gracia, if you ever see this, I love you. I am your sponsor from Compassion International, and it was my pleasure to watch you grow up. So those would be my final words, and also...
God be with you.
Yeah. Anyway, I am Asaph Adonai, and we're on our new Space Needle, Washington, Seattle set. I'm here with the lovely Linda Briggs Curtis, who is my first guest on this brand new set. And
May the good Lord bless and keep you.
yeah, let's play that real quick. It goes like this. You remember this song?
That's not the version I was talking about.
This is the version I know.
Well, one of these days we'll get Meredith Wilson's song. Anyway, that's very pretty, I'm sure.
That's the version I know. The Lord bless you and keep you. I used to listen to that on a network called Family Radio in California years ago, and they always played that version before midnight, and it was very calming to me at that time.
When I was in gospel team in college, we used to sing as our theme song a cappella, We Are More Than Conquerors, and
Yeah.
I can't find it now.
All right, maybe I'll try to find it on this thing here. But in the meantime, hold that thought. Thank you for being part of Asaph Cafe. This is season 9, episode number 2. Every 15 episodes is a new season, and I've been doing this show for 2 years, and I feel very blessed. This Asaph Cafe is a gift from the Lord to me, and it brings me a lot of joy to share this show with people in the community and my friends. This show here is just an impromptu show where people come on and just talk to me as I play the piano. That's the synopsis of this show, and it's just such a delight to be able to share this show.
Look on the bright side.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, until our next show, Maranatha. I'm going to play that The Lord Bless You and Keep You one more time. It's a pretty song. We'll do it here. Well, make yourself at home, and I'll shut this off. And until our next show, ladies and gentlemen, Maranatha.